All right, let's talk about two words you probably hear all the time: diversity and inclusion. I mean, they're everywhere, right? In our schools, our jobs. But what do they actually mean when the rubber hits the road?
So let's just start with a big question, kind of to get our heads in the right space. What if diversity is way more than just what we see on the surface? What if it's something deeper and way more active than we typically give it credit for?
Okay, so to really get this, let's break it down to the absolute basics. You've got uniformity on one side, right? I mean, it's right there in the name, uniform. One, form, one form. Think school uniforms and army, it's all about sameness. But then you have diversity, and it's the total opposite. It's all about that variety, the collection of differences that makes any group of people interesting and unique.
But here's the thing. It's not just about having a bunch of different things for the sake of it. Let's really pull back the layers here and see what diversity means in, like, a real social context.
So, at its most basic level, diversity is really just about all the stuff that makes us different from one another. And when you think about it, it's a lot, right? Our culture, the languages we speak, our gender, the skills we have, what we believe in, all those things together are what make one group of people distinct from another. Okay, but here's where we get a really crucial shift in thinking. Diversity isn't just a passive thing like a fact of life. It's an active commitment. Yeah, a commitment. It's about choosing to recognize and appreciate all those characteristics that make us unique. It's about celebrating them in a way that actually helps everyone, both as individuals and as a group, to succeed. It's about building an environment where people can thrive.
And that commitment, it isn't just a warm, fuzzy feeling. It means you got to take real, conscious actions. We're talking about things like practicing mutual respect, really getting that we're all interdependent, and building bridges, alliances across our differences. It also means opening our minds to the fact that there's more than one way of knowing things. And, this is a big one, actively working to get rid of discrimination in all its forms.
So, okay, if diversity is this active thing, this commitment, what does that actually look like out in the real world? Let's take a look at some of its different faces, its dimensions. First up, you've got linguistic diversity. And this is so much more than just, oh, you speak Spanish and I speak English. It's this beautiful mosaic of languages, sure, but also all the dialects, the accents, the different ways we communicate. You can find all of that richness in just one country or, hey, even in a single classroom. Then you have this huge landscape of socio-cultural and economic diversity. I mean, this covers everything, from our different beliefs and cultural traditions to the very real gaps between social classes. And all of this stuff, it massively shapes how we see the world and what our life experiences are like. And of course, we can't forget gender diversity. And this is really important. It goes way beyond just biological sex. It's about looking at gender as a social idea, a construct, the different roles and expectations and life paths that society kind of maps out for people. This adds another incredible layer to the diversity of our world. Now, listen up, because this next point is absolutely crucial. We often mix up the words impairment and disability, but they are not the same thing. An impairment, that's a problem with a body's function or structure, a physical challenge. But a disability, that's a social thing. It's what happens when the world around us, our society, isn't built for people with those impairments, when it creates barriers and puts them at a disadvantage. See the difference? This completely reframes it. It's not just a medical problem for one person, it's a social responsibility for all of us. So, we've established that our world is just naturally, fundamentally diverse. We have all these different faces, all these different experiences. The big question is, what do we do about it? And that, right there, is what brings us to the whole philosophy of inclusion.
Inclusion, it's not just some policy you write down or a program you run. It's much, much deeper than that. It's a core philosophy, a conviction. It's the belief that every single person, no matter who they are or what their differences are, has a basic right to the same opportunities, the same dignity, and that powerful feeling of truly belonging.
And this really boils it all down to one core idea. If you remember one thing, let it be this. Diversity is the reality. It just is. Inclusion, that's our choice. That's our response. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we actually do it? How do we make it happen? Well, let's look at how we can turn these big ideas into real-world action, and we'll focus specifically on what this looks like in education. So in a school, for example, inclusion has some pretty clear steps. Step 1 is simple. Get all the students together, in the same classroom, in the same school, no matter their ability or background. But that's just the start. From there, it's all about genuinely valuing what every single person brings to the table. It's about changing up your teaching strategies to fit how different people learn, and maybe most important of all, it's about making sure every single student feels accepted, feels appreciated, and feels safe.
And let's be super clear about this. The goal here isn't just to make accommodations for a few students. No way. The real point of an inclusive classroom is to unlock the potential of all students, every single one. It's really about raising the bar for everybody. So, okay, why should we care about this outside of a school? Why does any of this matter? Let's zoom out for a second and take a look at the bigger picture.
I think the single most important thing to take away from all this is that inclusion isn't a destination. It's not some box you can just tick and say, okay, we're done. It's a continuous, ongoing process. It's this constant effort to make things better, to augment learning, to boost participation for everybody. It really is a journey, not a finish line.
So we've seen how creating an inclusive classroom actually benefits everyone in it. It lifts the whole group up. Which leaves us with one last big question to think about. How do we take these exact same ideas, these same principles, and use them to build a truly inclusive society? A society that works not just for some of us, but for every single one of us.